to disassociate the president from the people of Nigeria. That is why our first approach is that Mr. President should set up an independent inquiry to investigate the rust of the dollarizing of INEC officials. For example, the woman, the Professor Gomos, she's an Ijaw woman. The traditional adage made it clear that when the son, the devil's son, and the devil has a case, and the devil's mother is the judge, who will win the case? It is clear. It is the devil's son, because the devil's mother is the one presiding over.
So is that the basis of the allegation by the Secretary, the fact that it's headed by an Ijaw
No, and the project is being sponsored by Ijaw people, trying to draft themselves into Warri South. For example, Warri South does not have Ijaws. There is no Ijaw community in Warri South. The community the Ijaws are claiming to be theirs is Okere community, with legal document to support it. Legal document, not that we're just saying it. This is a judgment. This is a case that was decided by Justice Vigo
of the Supreme Court.
Of the Supreme Court at that time in 1956. 1956. They say set up who were bound.
My people, how on a day? Today on Arise TV, Amaechi Ogbitse did not hold back as he openly criticized Inec'S decision to do ward delineation in Delta State. Now, what did he say about INEC? His comments on INEC's decision has fueled the debate of INEC credibility. Now, what exactly did Amaechi say? Mr. Amaechi, according to him, he said that INEC failed to do the right thing by failing to be transparent and fair in this ward delineation. He said that INEC failed totally in being fair and transparent. And now he questioned INEC's motives. He was asking why INEC had to do that. He questioned INEC's motive and said that they may be serving partisan interests instead of democratic ideas. Now, his comments seem to add fuel to the already ongoing debate of INEC's credibility. Now, let's look at his video on Arise TV.
Decided by Justice Vigo
of the Supreme Court.
Of the Supreme Court at that time in 1956. 1956. They say set up who were bound never to go to court again with the Shakiris over lands in Warri. Just of recent, we discovered that the government in 1999 promulgated a gazette bringing the Ijaw people into Warri South. We never knew about it.
And you say that is against the spirit of the judgment of 1959 now that you
yes,
say?
against the spirit of the judgment of 1959.
Okay, okay. But kindly conclude on that point.
Now, what happened? The former deputy governor of Delta State, who happens to be an Ijaw man, influenced it to make sure this case was taken to Multido. But information came to us who said this is a case that was supposed not to be in the Multido.
Okay.
The case should come straight to the High Court. So we now filed a motion to the High Court in Warri. And the High Court declared that there's no place in the world a gazette is superior to the law. So that case was dismissed.
Okay.
But you can see what I'm trying to do. These are the reasons, these are the areas they want to use in dumping themselves into Warri South.
Okay, so let's look at the position of INEC. INEC has said now, amongst other things, that extensive consultations on this delineation exercise have been ongoing since February 2023. What role has or have your groups played, to champion your cause?
It's a very
Since
fun,
then?
Yes, it's a very fun story. INEC ordered my arrest during the stakeholders meeting. INEC.
On what basis?
Because I exposed INEC. I said, you people went to Court of Appeal and you lost. This is the appeal judgment. INEC took appeal against the judgment of the 10 ward delivered by Justice Auta in 2003 in favor of the Shekiris, telling the world that there's nothing like 12 ward, but 10 ward. INEC took appeal and lost the appeal. That is the judgment. This is no photocopy. Because I said this, the same INEC wrote a letter to their office in Asaba, directing them, this is a letter, directing the office in Asaba after Justice Auta's ruling in 2003 that with immediate effect they should revise to 10 word, no more 12 word. But INEC disobeyed all these things. Now, what I said in that meeting, if you are saying you have respect for rule of law, the Supreme Court judgment never said that the judgment of the 10 ward and the case you lost in the appeal, the Supreme Court judgment, the only thing the Supreme Court judgment said is that go and re-delineate. And you must pass through the due process, not a process that you have on your own build.
So are you saying the Shekiris were not involved in the INEC engagement with all the critical groups?
I just told you now, INEC ordered my arrest.
That is you.
Yes.
But when we talk about the full body,
during the stakeholders meeting, INEC ordered my arrest.
Okay, and how did that pan out eventually?
It was a revolution. It was a protest, mass protest.
Are you saying that the fact that you were arrested excluded the entire Shekiris from the engagement?
Good. That's a very good question you have just asked me now. The Shekiri protested that you cannot make an Ijaw woman chairman of the committee, the vice Ijaw, which means you have already pre-planned what to do during this delineation exercise. And two, let me clear you, it is communities that makes up local government. You understand what I'm saying? Now, what is the fraud that has been committed by INEC? Take example like in Warri South, where I comes from. The 10 ward judgment still stands. No court of law, no Supreme Court. Supreme Court, because INEC never went to Supreme Court. Because of that 10 ward judgment, INEC went into agreement with us before the 2023 election that they are going to implement the 10 ward judgment. I can read it out if you permit me to read it. I can read it.
Now, this is the 2022...
Yes, this document was signed for the 2029 election.
Okay.
That they are going to implement the 12 word, the 10 word judgment, which has nullified the 12 word which they are using. But we stopped the election before the election was postponed. INEC invited us to Asaba. We went before the Commissioner of Police. You
stopped the election of what year? Now, the last general 2019. Right, okay.
We stopped it, but luckily for us, that same day, the election was postponed to the other week, based on security reason, according to them. We went to Asaba. Getting to Asaba, this is INEC agreement, that they were going to implement the judgment of the 10 ward in the week of that election, which INEC never obeyed.
All right. So, well, INEC now says that inviting all stakeholders to submit observations on the draft report. It insists that is a draft report. What has caused this uproar now is a draft report, and
which one is
the submission
report?
Of the report. That's what INEC is saying now. That it's a draft report, and is asking stakeholders, including your group, you know, the members of the Shekiri group, now to submit their report and observations for further engagement. So, what's your reaction to that?
Do I clear you? The board, the banner INEC put, placed on the gate of INEC office in Asaba. It was written the final report of the ward delineation. Final report of the ward. It is the action.
So today on Arise TV, Amaechi Ogbitse came out swinging, accusing INEC of failing in its core responsibility, which is being fair and transparent. He accused INEC of being unfair and not being transparent, especially with the recent delineation exercise that happened in Delta State. Now, he said that it isn't just unfair, that the recent delineation that happened in Delta State is not just about being unfair, that it is fundamentally unjust and it doesn't make sense. He argued again that INEC's decision to withdraw constituencies is just fundamentally unjust, and it doesn't align with the rule of Nigerian constitution and population distribution. He's saying that the population will not be distributed fairly. He hinted at this delineation being a political manipulation. He said that this could have a long-term implication by stating that as Nigeria is nearing another era for another election, which is in 2027, that this might have an implication. He is saying that the votes are not distributed equally, and he's saying that the boundaries are being tampered with, which is so unfair. Now he's calling out INEC's decision to do ward delineation, and he's saying that it doesn't make sense, that they should try and fix this. Say that it's not just unfair but constitutionally unjust. Now let us know what you think about his accusation in the comment section below.